How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. So, Patrick Mahomes, it's being reported by multiple different sources now that Patrick Mahomes, more than likely after Burrow and Herbert's contracts are made, is going to sign a new contract with the Chiefs or not a new contract, but restructure his current contract to be the highest paid player in the NFL. Now, this affects more than just Joe Burrow, but this affects a lot of the league. This is, in my eyes, it's kind of like how the league didn't like the the Deshaun Watson thing where they said Cleveland threw him all this guaranteed money. We're the NFL. We don't throw players all this guaranteed money. That's not how this works. That had people on edge. That had owners on edge. We can't continue this. We don't want to continue this. We don't want to guarantee these players this money. And the Browns did something that was kind of an unspoken rule you don't do, and they did it. Now you flip the script a little bit and say you're kind of in the same boat with contract restructures. Are you going to let a player sign a 10-year deal a couple years later because he's not the highest paid player in the league anymore? Just re-up the contract and say, oh, we'll fix it. We know you're the best in the league. We'll make sure you're the highest paid player in the league. Is that going to be the new precedent? Or do we see the precedent become, well, because of that, we might as well just give you a 4 or 5 year contract. We've seen a couple of the Hurtses, the Lamar's, only 4 or 5 year contracts. Is that the new precedent? I tell you what, it's going to affect Burrow in a big way. And I don't mind the 4 or 5 year contract. I respect that. I respect that completely. If you're a player, if you want to do it, that's your choice. That's your money. That's what you want to do. In Patrick Mahomes' situation, any player that signs a 10-year deal, I don't respect it. You signed a 10-year contract. You knew going into that. You paid. I don't care if you're not financially literate or not. You got all this money. You paid for our agent. The agent understands the salary cap was going up to 10, 20 million every single year when you signed that contract. You knew good and well. I mean, just off of that projection, the salary cap was going to be up a good $100, $200 million, which sounds ridiculous when you think about it. $100, $200 million when your contract ends, which meant essentially quarterbacks are going to be getting paid anywhere from 50 to 100% more than they're getting paid right now when you sign that contract. You knew that going into that contract. And what I think is really funny about it, because I think people laughed at it at the time, and I think it was just, I think people are right to say Mahomes was just doing it to save face, because at the time of that contract signing, if we remember, Patrick Mahomes said, I took less for the team. I left money on the table because I care about the team and the other players getting paid and I want to win a Super Bowl or whatever. He was the highest paid player in the league, the richest contract, we've seen in sports at the time. And he said, I could have taken more, but I didn't. Now, if he was true to those words, I don't think we'd be asking for a contract restructure 2 years down the road or talking about one. Maybe he didn't, and maybe the Chiefs said you deserve to be paid more. We don't really know the inner workings of it. But I don't know. That's just my thing. It's because if you would sign that 10-year contract, what if Mahomes gets a contract restructure this year? And I know it doesn't affect the quarterback like it does a pitcher or whatever, but let's say he tears a UCL or maybe has some shoulder issues, like we've seen with Matthew Stafford, something that could be career altering, where he can still play, but he can't play at the level he could. He can't throw the football like he once could. A big part of him, or athleticism isn't there. At year 3 or 4 into that contract, is he going to come back and say, look, I'm not playing like the best quarterback in the league anymore. Can I take a pay cut? No, it's not going to happen. That's the point of the contract. There's a risk for both sides. The risk of the quarterback is, well, I could go out there and tear it up and be the best quarterback in the league, and 5 years down the road, I could have made a lot more. But on the flip side, the negative side is, what happens 2-3 years down the road? I'm not as good as I once was. Just like baseball players, we see it so much 10-year contracts. Well, hey, look at, Votto. Look at some love Joey Votto, but look at some of the guys in baseball. You get to year 8 and 9 and how much they're getting paid and how not good they are. Meanwhile, there's other players that are, again, playing above their contract. That's the risk you take, but it's part of the, that's part of the game. The team wants to do that for saying salary cap reasons on the road, we have more money. The player wants to do it saying, well, just in case, worst comes to worst, I'm signed. But Mahomes resigns or restructures that contract. That has such a big impact on Joe Burrow and the future of the Bengals, because I think that's it. That's your 2 best quarterbacks in the league for the next decades, Mahomes and Burrow. And you say, hey, if the Bengals can lock down Joe Burrow for 8 to 10 years, I'll give him highest paid quarterback in the league money, whatever he wants right now. Because by year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, you have one of the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the league, maybe the top 15, which leaves you all this other money you spend on other positions. You become throw at other players, good players. And that's, again, why Tom Brady won so many Super Bowls, willing to take money off the table to pay other players to build up the football team. And I think that's why I was like, you give Burrow whatever he wants. I'm looking forward to that. But if that's not the direction he goes, it's not the direction the NFL goes, then, I mean, if there's anybody to set that precedent, it's your quote-unquote face of the league and Patrick Mahomes. So it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, especially after these other quarterbacks just signed shorter mid-term contracts, if you will. You know, the 4 to 5, 6 year range instead of the 8, 9, 10 as a quarterback. It feels like things are swaying, and it feels like, okay, the Bengals have to be a little bit more strategic about things. And it's still interesting because, you know, what if Burrow does come out and say, give me 4 years, 5 years, give me a lot of money, and then after year 5, he's willing to take a little bit off that. See, I'm a homer. I'm like, I feel like Burrow's going to get his money. He deserves his money. But I feel like at some point in time in his career, he's going to say, I'm going to take money off the table because I like winning games. I want my players to be around. Does that happen now? Does it happen later? Maybe the answer for the Bengals is they throw him more guaranteed money now instead of, you know, the incentives, the signing bonus, whatever. That entices him to stay longer, more, maybe a higher percentage in the guaranteed money instead of saying that's whatever over a longer period of time, which I think would be as a Bengals fan, that's a great idea. Because if you're going to guarantee this guy money, the only thing you're really worried about is his health, which means you're going to invest more in the offensive line, which is something I'm a big fan of. So you got to do that. A lot to digest, though. It does feel like at the moment, quarterbacks are trending towards shorter deals so they can re-up their contracts, kind of like the NBA does every couple years. Got opt out to make the most money again. We'll see. I mean, when the salary cap goes up this much, you kind of understand why a player wants to do it. We're fans of the game. We want to see our team win Super Bowls and championships. So it's like, well, we could save some money here, spend it somewhere else to be good. That's where the